best conditions for a pre-season tournament. Grey skies. Well, I think Eddie Howe will be delighted with the way his team went about their business today against Fiorentina on a day where he's got so many selection problems now moving forward, especially that midfield area. Elliot Anderson surely has to start against Aston Villa. That's obviously Eddie Howe's decision, but I thought he was excellent again today, arguably man of the match. But the two of the front three stepped up with goals as well, Miguel Almiron and Alexander Isaac. But again, Lewis Miley, he just shone so brightly in that midfield. Looks like a player who's been around for years, yet he's still only 17, so he does have to be protected. But I think it's another really interesting option for Eddie Howe if he wants to give him more minutes against Aston Villa in the Premier League next week. This win against Fiorentina will set Newcastle up nicely for tomorrow's game. They're obviously on course to win the Sela Cup. If they can get a positive result, score a few more goals tomorrow, they're sitting top of the table with 5 points, because points are awarded for goals as well. But they're in a great position, and I think it's been a really positive weekend so far for Eddie Howe and his players, and this will hold them in good stead going into the Aston Villa game next week. So we're still unpacking today's action at St James's Park, and lots to unpack really if you think about it. And Eddie Howe said after the game he's going to have to clear his mind next week to decide what his team's going to be against Aston Villa in that opener. He's still got tomorrow's game against Villarreal. I'm sure he's going to have a look at a completely different team tomorrow, and probably keep Unai Emery guessing a little bit, because I'm pretty sure he'll have his spies watching that game very intently. But I think really, I said it before, the big talking points are going to be who's going to be in that midfield three, who's going to form the attack, and a lot of players doing themselves a world of good today. I think looking at the defence, the big call's probably going to be at left back between Dan Burn and Matt Targett. We're still waiting to see who will be fit enough to contest the two centre back slots. Fabian Schär has obviously got a hamstring injury and will have to train this week and prove his fitness. But there are other options, and I think really Eddie Howe knows going into this game, it's probably going to be the team sheet that he thinks about the most, that he's thought about the most, probably since he's been manager really. And yeah, front three, where do you start with that? Isaac getting a goal today, also led the line well. Almiron continued his good form in pre-season, scoring again. Anthony Gordon, in terms of getting on the ball as an outlet, unbelievable. Finishing can be improved, but that's not too much of a problem in pre-season. But you look at the positions he got in, and he absolutely destroyed the Fiorentina right back. He's meant to be one of the up-and-coming stars in Brazilian football, and even dubbed the new Dani Alves by some people. But Anthony Gordon made life so difficult for him today. So the front three is going to be interesting. Someone's going to be benched. And yeah, look, it's a good problem to have for Eddie Howe. I've said that already, but he's going to have to leave 2 or 3 players disappointed, because this pre-season has been as competitive as you like, and probably answered a few questions. On the left back slot for a start, Newcastle were linked with so many left backs, and now they've got 2 fighting for that position. So lots of options there. I think really Eddie Howe will go into this week knowing how important it is to get off to a great flying start against Villa. They did the same last year against Nottingham Forest. That win over Forest set the tone for the season, and the game against Villa has very similar vibes to it. And I think really, if you look back to that game against Forest, then Eddie Howe will be looking for a similar impact from his players. And yeah, those were the big talking points for me. The fans delighted with Elliot Anderson's progress, delighted with Lewis Miley's progress. He's another player who can just really hit the heights. And Eddie Howe holding him back from going on loan. There's obviously loads of clubs want him on loan, but they're not going to get him. Signed his first professional deal earlier this year, and he really is looking the part. So lots to take away from today, lots to unpack. We're back at St James's tomorrow for the Villarreal game. I've just seen the league table for the Sela Cup. Newcastle top, so that's good news. Looks like, you know, a good performance tomorrow, and they'll be winning that cup, the first one of its kind, and that'll be the right mentality Eddie Howe's looking for. So looking forward to that, and yeah, we'll be back with you tomorrow with more coverage from St James's Park.